Memories in Orbit will punish every mistake and then reward you with one of the finest Metroidvania experiences seen in years. I realized that Memories in Orbit was going to challenge me when I missed a jump by a fingertip and fell into an area filled with enemy machines, dying before the musical note ran out. It wasn't exactly funny, but it made the situation clear. This is a game that demands precision and a certain level of emotional resilience in the face of constant failure. But when I finally made that jump, turning it into a dash and a last-second grab, the feeling was incredible. In that moment, MIO made its stance very clear. It is tough and utterly committed to its vision, even if that means leaving some players behind, those who can't meet that level of determination. Designed by Douze Dixièmes and published by Focus Entertainment, MIO, Memories in Orbit, is a Metroidvania set aboard a vast technological vessel drifting between life and decay. You play as MIO, an android revived in a universe where the ship's caretakers, the Pearls, have lost the will to carry on. It's clear that the ship is no longer functioning properly, and no one knows why. Your role is more that of an archivist and far removed from conquest. You either fight these Pearls or comfort them, collecting their voices and restoring the fragments that once kept this place alive. It's a familiar framework for the genre, but MIO approaches it with a poetic restraint that makes even its most violent moments feel thoughtful. A Metroidvania that refuses to clench its fists. That restraint does not apply to difficulty. MIO is quite hard. If you didn't find Ori in the Blind Forest particularly challenging, but enjoyed the punishing edge of Hollow Knight and Silksong, this game is made directly for you. Combat encounters are demanding, platforming requires perfect timing, and bosses rarely allow you a moment's respite. The game does offer some concessions. Rather than true accessibility options, they feel more like stress reduction measures. There's a wear setting that reduces a boss's health by about 25% after repeated failures, and you can enable a pacifist mode to avoid smaller encounters. As someone who regularly engages with extremely difficult games, I often found myself wishing for more substantial assistance. This is not an entry point into Metroidvanias. It's a love letter to those who already adore them. Still, MIO understands the genre's unspoken agreement. If you're going to make things this difficult, the payoff has to be worth it. And it is. Defeating a boss after many failed attempts feels truly earned in the purest sense. Completing a long platforming section without taking damage creates a lingering sense of satisfaction that lasts even after you set the controller down. The harshness isn't there for spectacle, it exists to sharpen emotional peaks. MIO demands patience, but it rewards success generously. Beauty in fracture. Where the game is most generous is immediately apparent in its visual presentation. MIO is stunning. Its watercolor art style softens the hard edges of its science fiction setting. The world feels both mechanical and organic, overgrown yet intentional. Rusted machines seep into painterly landscapes, and light soaks into environments like paint on a canvas. MIO's hair, also her weapons, glows as she moves, casting a soft light that interacts beautifully with the surroundings. There is extraordinary care in the small details, subtle environmental animations and visual storytelling that convey a sense of decay without ever becoming muddy or unclear. The music fits perfectly. It weaves its rhythm through the vast chambers of each area, becoming enchanting and at times overwhelming. During boss fights, the music intensifies, amplifying the already demanding combat, then shifts into ambient, almost meditative pieces while you explore. The score doesn't just convey the world's darkness, it reframes it as a strange source of calm. This is a broken world, yes, but also one worth protecting. Structurally, MIO handles exploration very well. The map design is largely intuitive and encourages a sense of curiosity. A marking system allows you to flag areas that require abilities you haven't unlocked yet. This reduces the mental load that Metroidvania games often impose on me. That said, the map does not include location names, which can make backtracking unnecessarily difficult and sometimes frustrating. Backtracking is inevitable, and although some moments in the vaults can become tedious, it rarely feels unnecessary. Sometimes I felt like I was stuck in a dead end, unsure if I had missed an upgrade or whether I understood the correct path to progress, but moving forward almost always brought clarity. The world feels carefully interconnected, even when it tests your patience.
Lessons in patience.
But bosses are where MIO fully commits to its uncompromising design philosophy. They are, quite simply, extremely difficult. One encounter kept me occupied for almost 2 hours. It was an uninterrupted test of pattern recognition and endurance. I'm not a Metroidvania expert, and the game makes no effort to guide you. Yet these fights are meticulously designed. Every attack is understandable. Everyone makes their own mistakes. Victory is not down to luck, it comes from understanding. Visually, the bosses are striking. Mostly mechanical beings, they feel completely at home in this sci-fi ship. One boss in particular, resembling a coach, stands out with both elegance and an almost tragic sense of honor in battle. MIO prefers poetry over exposition. If you prefer stories that lay their themes out clearly, this may disappoint you. The game progresses slowly and reveals its world through fragmented memories and interactions with the pearls. Each pearl has its own unique impulses and insecurities, which, if you pay attention, gives the story a layered depth that rewards you. The main objective, collecting and tuning 5 pearls to save the ship, seems quite simple, perhaps overly simple. There is a definite endpoint. Beneath the abstraction is a checklist. I found the core structure a bit basic, while the surrounding story is, conversely, quite deep. Where the story truly shines is in its smaller narrative moments. One pearl in particular caught my attention, deeply insecure and frightened simply because of its own existence. Approaching it not with force, but with patience and kindness, fully communicating through MIO's quiet presence, felt profoundly meaningful. These moments focus the game's recurring moral message on compassion and selflessness. Despite the mechanical violence, MIO is fundamentally a gentle game. It asks how to care for a world that no longer knows how to care for itself. That feeling feels especially important in today's world. That contrast between hardness and gentleness, between challenge and beauty, is what defines MIO, Memories in Orbit. It doesn't always strike the perfect balance, and its limited accessibility will certainly exclude some players. But for those willing to approach it on its terms, it offers something special, a Metroidvania that is both demanding and emotionally generous. It hurts first, then gains meaning, and once that meaning is understood, stepping away from it becomes a meaningful experience. MIO, Memories in Orbit, is a challenging and luminous journey, filled with decay and empathy. While the game demands a great deal from its players, it offers enough in return to make the struggle feel worthwhile.